Let's start at the beginning. It's a very good place to start.
Because doe, a deer. Welcome to My Hill to Die On, episode 85.
Everyone has things they are passionate about.
Things we want our friends to try and experience.
So we've convinced each other to try different things.
And we talk about these experiences to see if we can get just one more person
to join us on our hill to die on. So, I just finished our cross-country season, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a fun season. A lot of things happened this season.
Yeah, I could tell a lot of things were happening by the grumbling from over the wall.
Mostly good things, I would say. I mean, there was grumbles because of surprises.
It was the happy grumbles.
Yes.
Oh, I am looking forward to this thing, but there's this one little piece of the puzzle that's becoming tricky.
Before we get to all of the logistics of the season, I think we actually had some very good student performances this year. We had some new runners who came out and shined, who were very excited about the season. It seems like, again, I don't count my chickens before they hatch, but it seems like most of them are coming out next year already again, which is great. From last year where we had 4 high school students, this year having 15 high school students, it was a big difference, right? Like the team dynamics were completely different, but it was great. I mean, I didn't have problems with the students really. They all had great performances throughout the year. So we had great time celebrating those performances. Like students were great. Loved coaching the students this year. That was good.
I'm waiting for the but.
No. Yes, I had a lot of logistic problems this year, but in the end, the logistics turned into a very amazing Asia Pacific Invitational that we had here in Japan. This being one of the years where we hosted here. I did most of the organizing, but I had a lot of help too from various people. But we held the Asia Pacific Invitational here in Japan. It was good. This is the second time we've hosted the tournament, and I was really hoping that we could do it the same way we did the first one, because the first one worked pretty smoothly. I mean, we were kind of on the edge of our seat for that one too, setting up. But the biggest problem with the first one was, can we get the park? Which we didn't really find out until July, with the tournament happening in mid-October. That was a little nerve-wracking, pinching our finger, because if we didn't have it, we were sunk last time. But luckily, that all went through, and then everything else just fell into place. Like the award ceremony place, everything else just smoothly into place. So planning this one, we're like, great, we'll use the same venue. Called up the park, and they said, oh no, we're having a town festival the week before, and you can't have the field the next week because the grass has to heal. And we're like, oh, okay. So then, we started looking for other places, and it's hard to look for places in Japan to run. Just a hard thing in general. In the end, I found a hotel out in Chiba that could host us. And this was looking to be good because it's like, everybody can stay here. We can run here. We can all hang out together. We're all going to eat together. It's actually going to be much more community focused than many of our tournaments are. So this is going to be great. Of course, that was when I was planning for 200 total runners. This tournament ended up getting so much attention that I did not expect. And we ended up with 470 runners. And, I didn't think of all what would happen when the tournament got that large. And there's a surprising amount of things. Like, okay, upping my t-shirt order was annoying, but something I could do, although that did cause problems with the t-shirt company. In fact, they shorted us on t-shirts because they didn't get our last email with more numbers. And we spent another 2 weeks organizing the invoice to make sure we got all the right numbers in there because they were overcharging us in the end. Like, that was annoying. But in the end, that's really one of the smaller annoyances. When I planned the course, I wasn't planning for that many people. So we had to make adjustments to make the course fit that many people at the starting line. Even still, it was a very packed race, but that's yet another good experience for the kids too, so that wasn't too bad. Some of my kids complained about being elbowed and things, and it's like, I'm sorry, the start was very tight. We got elbowed. At least nobody fell, all right? At least nobody fell. Yeah, being elbowed and getting squeezed out, that's actually something that they had to learn, so that was fine in the end. It was really annoying when the hotel called me up and said they were full. Like within 2 weeks of offering the space. Like, oh, we filled up. And I'm like, wow, not even half the school's booked yet. Right. Well, I wasn't planning on this large amount of people. Okay. So then telling all the rest of the schools, so you're going to have to find other hotels. One of the nice things about the first time we hosted here in Japan was that it was semi-close to a train station. So they all didn't have to stay at the hotels in the area. If they couldn't get hotels in the area, they could train in and be fine, and they'd have to walk, leaving that up to them. But this location where I found was not convenient at all to any train station at all. Like, it's a 20-minute car ride to the nearest train station. Well, no, maybe 15 minutes to the nearest one, but you don't even want to go to that one because you're just spending too long on the train. So 20 minutes to a worthwhile train station by vehicle, not by walking. So it's like, oh, okay. If not everybody can stay at the hotel, I'm going to have to arrange transportation for all these schools. I mean, that's one of the big grumbles that you definitely heard over the wall. Like, okay, I'm arranging transportation. But, one of the benefits of having 470 runners is because I had planned the fixed expenses, like renting the course and renting the facilities, all those things got paid for pretty quickly by the first 200 runners. The second 270 runners ended up paying for the transportation that I had to all of a sudden had to pay for. And still I made enough money that I was able to buy extra things for the kids. We bought things to put in the packets that the kids could take home, which was great. I mean, yeah, it was a lot to put together. Lots of details that were finally all arranged, but took some arranging to get done. I think I'm very pleased with how it turned out. The final coaches meeting, I was worried that the coaches were going to be like, it was annoying to get here, or it was annoying that we had to pay so much for lunch, although lunch was actually still pretty amazing. The buffet they put out, everybody had to pay. I would say it's a medium price buffet. It is not overly expensive, and it is not cheap for a buffet. It's more expensive than a bento lunch, but it's a buffet. So it's probably a medium priced buffet, which is where they ended up. I was hoping they would be a little bit cheaper than medium priced. So then I was wondering, like, am I going to get a lot of complaints from the schools? Because it's not terribly cheap, but no, they swallowed it. And the food was great. You couldn't complain about the food. The food was excellent. You had lots of choice. If you were a vegetarian, you could have chosen the vegetarian options. They had so many drink options. They had desserts. Like, great buffet. And then I was like, oh, are they going to complain that they had to spend 20 minutes on a bus to get here? No, they didn't complain about that either. I mean, really, I guess even if we were at our first location and they didn't get a nearby hotel, they would have still had to do that. It wouldn't have been 20 minutes by bus. It might have been a 20-minute walk and possibly 20 minutes on a train to get to that station. So that's about the same as what they did last time too, probably. So it's not that outrageous. The biggest feedback I received in the end was that the location was gorgeous. I mean, which I just thought was hilarious because I basically brought 300 people to Japan and had them race in a forested area in the middle of the wilderness in Chiba. Where it's like, yeah, I'm bringing you to Japan and I'm going to show you the woods. Not the city. We're going to be in the woods. But it was very gorgeous out there. So that was kind of nice. But it's like, yeah, this is not really Japan, at least not the way that most people think of it. I mean, there is a lot of forest in Japan. There's a lot of forest and mountains. But most people hang out in the cities of Japan or in the touristy spots. But it is gorgeous, and if you're going to come to Japan, it's a pretty cool place to see, I think.
I think that when people come to Japan, a lot of people come to Tokyo, Kyoto, but they miss out on some of the really beautiful areas by doing only those places.
Right, exactly. Yes, like you were saying, if you're booking a place, you wouldn't even think to come out here. But it's good that these people got to do it. And then, of course, they all did, well, not all of them, but a lot of schools did touring after. So, they all got their Tokyo and their whatever it is. I know some went to Disney. So, great, But that's all on them at that point, which worked out fine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a good season. I was very proud of my runners at that race, too. They did a great job. They did a great job helping out because I basically told them to do a lot of things. I was telling them at our first team meeting while we got there, I was like, okay, here's all the things I'm assigning to you guys to do. Yes, it's you guys because, we're the ones organizing this meet and you guys get to do it. But they were very gracious about that and they did a good job. Worked out pretty well, I think. I didn't realize how this little part was going to be so big. Well, being the race director, I got to determine when the races were going to be. And it was floating around the third weekend of October. And the third week of October, just prior, was our school break.
Yeah.
I could do it then, but then I'd be giving up some of our school break, or I could do it the Monday, Tuesday following the third weekend of October. So I ended up deciding on those days, partly because we didn't have to give up our break, but partly because it pushed things back a little bit further too. It's a little nicer for everything, and it gives the people who are flying the ability to not have to fly over the weekend and can stay in Japan and tour, like things like that. Like, I think it's better for those coming overseas. But the problem with that was that one of our schools in the area, their break is a week after ours, so this race did fall in their fall break. So I said to those coaches of that team, I said, hey, you've got some very good runners. If they want to join our team, trip anyway. They're not technically joining our team, but joining our trip and come along with our students in the trip, that'd be fine. And they were very gracious, and 3 of their runners did join us. And I was surprised at how that impacted our team. It was actually very good having those 3 runners, fitting them into our fitting them into our team as in like they're part of our meetings and they're going to do all the things we're doing. You know, I'm going to be their coach for the moment. That all worked out very well. I thought, I had inklings that it would work out okay, but I think it worked out a lot better than I expected. I think it was a blessing for them because one of them earned an award along with some of our runners, which, I was expecting she would, so that's very good. But the other two had great experiences too, and I'm glad they all came along. Like, this was a big deal. And they'll probably likely go to Guam next year too when the race returns to Guam. But yeah, I thought it worked out pretty well. I was pretty pleased.
I'm glad. So, Nate, this episode is, as you know, a listener pick episode.
Yes.
To completely reveal the not surprise, it's all about Picard.
It's going to be in the show notes.
Yeah, it's in the show notes. But it's all about Picard. And because, at least I felt like Picard, especially season 3, was a good finale to not just the rest of the Picard show, but also TNG as a whole, I thought that it'd be fun to ask you, what are other things that had a good finale, that had a good period on the media or on an event?
So I get to go first?
Yes, of course you get to go first. If I'm introducing it, you get to go first.
I'm sniping one right off the bat then.
All right, go right ahead.
All Good Things from TNG. Can I pick this?
Can you pick the end of TNG for something that then takes the end of TNG and wraps it up more? Yeah, I think that's fine.
Is this allowed?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. I think before Picard had aired, I would say that the last episode of The Next Generation was probably my favorite series finale ever. Maybe it still is, but this one wasn't bad, but I think All Good Things was probably my favorite wrap-up because it was a very good episode of Star Trek. It included the whole cast. It did something interesting, wrapping the very first episode of the series, which was kind of silly.
What are you talking about? Space whales aren't silly.
No, they were cool. Q was silly, I would say. The trial things, all of that stuff was a little bit silly.
Wait, are you saying that ending a series with the Q isn't the way to end it?
Possibly not.
But, this series ended with a Q as well.
Yeah. Well,
we'll get to that.
Yeah, I know. That was, no, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
I think All Good Things did it well. It actually used Q properly. It included the whole cast. It brought back Tasha and Colmini as O'Brien. I think it did things very well. So I was pretty amazed at that. Because in many ways, and I've read about this in the books too, I think it was better than Generations was, which was the movie they were putting on right after this, which had a lot bigger budget and a lot more money behind it. But All Good Things, something that they had to slap together quickly, was probably a better show than Generations was. But, oh well, that's the way things fall, I guess. How do you feel? You're going to pick Enterprise.
No.
which is a Next Generation episode.
I was going to talk a little bit about this when we got to our main media.
Okay.
Because I felt like, especially with the way that All Good Things ended, this episode was a lot of callbacks, a lot of nods to those same beats. You had it all end with a card game. Yeah, you had Q come back at the very end, which you're choosing to ignore.
Yeah.
But you had a lot of things like that, where it was, to me, it felt like a bookend. It's that callback. It's that repetition. It's those things that made such an impact on us in All Good Things are shown again in this ending. So that's kind of what I was going to say later, but surprise, surprise, I'll say it here.
Yep. Yeah, so it was a good episode.
It was. It really was.
One of my favorites. Sorry, I'm ruining the whole Star Trek episode by picking a Star Trek thing.
No, you're not. I was thinking about Doctor Who, and I was thinking about how there's kind of a finale each time the Doctor regenerates and becomes a new Doctor. And I was trying to remember what my favorite transition episode was. And I think that I have to talk about the transition between the 10th and the 11th Doctor, which is in the 2-part episode, The End of Time. The entire thing begins with a prophecy where the Doctor is told that he's going to reach his end. Essentially, he's going to die, and there will be 4 knocks. The 4 knocks, constantly throughout the story, you're thinking that it's referring to the master and something that the master is going to do. But the very end of this entire story ends with one of the characters who has been helping out the doctor, a character named Wilfred. He's Donna's grandfather. So Wilfred ends up getting himself trapped in a box that is going to flood with radiation. And the only way to get him out, because of the way that the locks were working on this box, was the doctor had to step into the other side to let him out. But that meant that then he would be flooded with radiation. So this happens. And then what he proceeds to do, and the thing that I love about this, is he proceeds to kind of make little appearances into all the various people who had helped him out throughout his time as the 10th Doctor. So he goes and he meets with Sarah Jane, he meets with Rose, he meets with Captain Jack, and it all ends with a line that feels both from the Doctor and from Tennant himself, because his final words are, "I don't want to go." Like, I don't want to stop being the Doctor. So he gets this moment because he was able to slow down his death, apparently, by being himself. He is able to go on this goodbye tour. And it's just an incredibly moving scene of where he's going to give one last greeting and one last bit of help to all the people who had helped him out in his life. And that entire wrap-up scene is beautiful. And then it ends with him dying and regenerating into the 11th Doctor, who is Matt Smith. And that entire transition is really fun because it then does this quick transition into these two people being the same person, but also having unique enough personalities that you go, oh, so that's what the next Doctor is going to be like. And I also really like it because it gives this nice segue into how he is going to be crash landing into the life of Amelia Pond. But I really love it because it is both this really great callback to all of the past moments that have been wonderful. And one of the things that always stands out to me is that scene where Wilfred is locked in the room, where the Doctor has to let him out. Wilfred looks at him dead in the eyes and says, "I'm an old man. I'm going to die anyway. Just leave me here. You don't have to do this." And the Doctor looks at him, and I believe he says something along the lines of, "It's my honor to do this." Because he has just gone on this giant rant about, oh, you had to go in there and help the... essentially, the reason he's locked in there is because he was helping one of the bad guys get free from the same situation he ended up locking himself into. He was saving a bad guy's life, locks himself in there, and that's why the Doctor goes on this giant rant about how you had to go and do that. You had to get yourself in trouble. You had to do this. But you know, and at the very end, he goes, "It's my honor to do this." And it just gives a sense of finality of, regardless of everything else, this is who I am as the Doctor. So I really like that. Yeah, there are things that are not the best bits of the Doctor in this episode, but I really think that it's a good cap. Also, I mean, spending that much time with Wilfred is great because Donna is one of my favorite companions of the Doctor.
Mm-hmm. I must have seen this. I don't remember it because the Matt Tennant Doctor Who... the David Tennant Doctor Who is the one that I watched, although I'm wondering when I stopped.
Yeah, it is the final episode in 2010, the last episode before he transitions into being the 11th Doctor.
Oh, 2009-10. I'm not sure. Yeah, because this is when I was in Japan. I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, I remember David Tennant being a good doctor.
Yeah, honestly, they really don't pick bad doctors. I think there is something that I love about every doctor that gets picked.
My second one is we had a time in our life where we needed childcare for our children before they could enter school age. And there were a number of other staff at the school that had children our age too. I mean, well, a handful, just a few. Some of those staff did end up putting their kids in Japanese schools, but we didn't want that for our children. We didn't want the inclusion of a third language. I mean, we had Korean and English already. We didn't want a third language. We wanted to somehow organize our own childcare. And the school at the time was gracious enough to give us a room that was not being used for anything else, which was very nice. We were able to find a few caregivers in the area that were very good, and they were available. So me and my wife and 2 or 3 other families joined together and said, great, we're organizing a daycare for our children at school. And we called it Kiddles. And it went for a number of years. I should actually look it up. I forgot to look up how many years it went, but it went for a number of years. 7 or 8, something in there. Some of the caregivers were there for quite a while, and some of them came and went because, they had, 8 years, they had life. People moved out, people moved in. And at the end, it was kind of fizzling out because in the end, it was really only my youngest daughter and one other maybe. Although even that other child, started going to Japanese hoikuen too. So it kind of was fizzling out a little bit at the end. But at the end, I was done, and I was the one who was doing the bookkeeping part of it. The other families that were partnering with us at the beginning helped by getting all of the caregivers arranged and all of that stuff, and I was dealing with all the finances. So that's kind of how we split the division. So I was doing all the finances, and I had dealt with the finances the whole time. Since it was basically my family that was at the end, and next year, while there were still little kids of parents at the school, they were arranging their own childcare, so our whole Kiddles part was kind of closing down. And at the end of it, we were like, this was a pretty big 8 years for our families, for families that were involved. It was, very valuable for us. So me and the families that started it, even though their kids had already left already too, were like, let's put a cap on this. Let's finish this off well. And you know how June is a wonderful time to do as many things as possible. It's amazing how many goodbyes there are in June for us. It's just unbelievable. Yeah. But this was one of the things that we were going to try to squeeze into that year. We're like, okay, we're going to have a final farewell for Kiddles, for the workers, for all the kids who have graduated, who are still around. Like, let's have a farewell for this. I arranged it at a local restaurant. We reserved basically their back area. I came up with some trivia for how many workers did we have? How many hours did they work? Who worked the most? And we had a big celebration. Some of our workers had made photo books over the years, so we brought all of those photo books that came in. Our workers gave us pictures throughout the time, so I brought all those pictures on an iPad and had a slideshow running the whole time. It was pretty cool. There was a lot of fun things that I was glad I had enough time to put all that together, too. I'm very pleased that I ended up finding that time to put all that together because it turned out to be a great closure for those ladies, too, because they gave a lot of their time and a lot of their effort for probably not enough pay. I was definitely under Japanese minimum wage, but they came in and worked, faithfully for us. One of them for all 8 years, and some of them for just less than all 8 years. They gave a lot of their time. So we had as many caregivers as we could and as many families as we could come to that. I think it was a good closure. I think the ladies that were there, our caregivers, I think they felt like it was a pretty good closure too. One of the original caregivers was on home assignment that year and couldn't make it, which is too bad. We sent her our thanks anyway, and she was one of the ones that made some of the photo books. So we sent her some pictures. But for those that were there, I think it was good closure of the whole thing. And I was very pleased that we did that because we could have just let it fizzle. It could have just fizzled and we wouldn't pay attention to it anymore. But I think it was good to put a cap on that. It did definitely signal that it was over for us, too. That was kind of a nice thing for us, too. This is done. We're done. Now, you guys can keep doing it. Definitely other families at our school that need care, but the 3 families that started it, we're done. Thank you for your great time. Yeah, those ladies gave a lot of time and a lot of effort for our families.
Yeah, there are certain things like that where I do wonder if and or when that sort of thing happens, where it's kind of we're going to put a cap on this and actually retire this thing. Because there are certain things that do tend to stretch on because nobody wants to say, you know what, it's done. Yeah, I think that's a good story. For my second one, I'm trying not to be basic.
You can pick a game, Ryan. It's okay.
Well, no, the thing is, I was like, what is a good way that a story ends? And my gut wants to just say, hey, you ever hear of this great story called Lord of the Rings?
It's not a bad thing.
But I am trying to avoid being basic. Why? Forget it. It's great. Lord of the Rings is a fantastic story, and it's been one of those stories that has not only influenced my life, but the life of hundreds of thousands of people. And I feel like it's a good wrap-up. It ends conclusively and beautifully. All the strings are tied together, and it's just a great story. So yeah, I'm going to pick it.
Okay, sounds good to me.
I am going to choose The Return of the King as a conclusion for the Lord of the Rings stories. And I am going to include the book of The Hobbit in that.
It's conclusion to that story as well.
Yes, it concludes all the stories from The Hobbit, Fellowship, Two Towers.
Silmarillion?
Well, technically, yeah, it does conclude that as well. But I often don't include that simply because not many people, let me rephrase that, not many normal readers will read that. I have tried to talk to a couple of my students about the Silmarillion, and usually their response is, yeah, I made it through about the first chapter before I fell off. Mm-hmm. Which, don't get me wrong, the first little section is beautiful because it talks about how Middle-earth was sung into existence and how all of the things that go wrong in the later ages are due to one being who decides to sing their own song, which creates a discord and breaks the harmony of the music that creates the world.
And that's not in the 4-box set that's on Amazon. The Silmarillion's not in that. So, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, you're looking at a book set. Sorry, I thought for a moment you were looking at the DVDs.
No, well, that would be 6 movies, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would because
money.
Because money. Anyway, it's a great story that has, like I said, influenced a lot of people throughout their lives, and it does wrap a lot of these loose threads up very nicely. A lot of the people who have been quietly helping the story along or quietly serving, where they might not in many normal stories get any kind of limelight, they still also get some level of a happy ending. Like Faramir ends up with Éowyn. Even these characters who, like, in most other stories, like, they just don't get that kind of recognition or that kind of happy ending, or many times they're just not mentioned in the concluding. They all get, like, every character that has helped them out along the way. Well, I can't say every character, but many of the characters who have helped them out along the way get some kind of conclusion to their story.
Even Tom Bombadil and all that,
Tom Bombadil isn't in the concluding, though.
You're right.
No, instead, the ending is where Frodo sails off into the east, but then tells Sam that he's eventually going to also do that. But that's after they've purged the Shire of all of the evil that had broken out there. That's how it ends.
It was interesting listening to an episode of French Friday by the Holy Post podcast. They talk about broadly, they talk about a bunch of things, but broadly they're talking about the series of the books of The Lord of the Rings and the books of Game of Thrones, and how Game of Thrones is very, the world is fallen and there's no hope.
Yeah.
And The Lord of the Rings is the world is fallen, but there's hope. There's love, there's hope, there's people that will carry it through. So it's kind of, in some ways, I think he was trying to say it's reflecting the faith of the author. But I found that interesting, okay, let's tie these two popular things together, but notice how this Christian author is saying, yes, the world has fallen, but there is love, there is hope.
Yeah, whereas a lot of the times in Game of Thrones books, oftentimes he does kill off major characters because it almost shows a bit of his worldview of, there is no plot armor. Mm-hmm. There is no, this person is very important to the story, so they're going to keep making it through. Sometimes people who are very important just die. Mm-hmm. And that's his worldview, and that's his perception of the world. And that's true. But it also, in all the other things that he does throughout his world, it does paint a very bleak view of the world. Even when it seems the darkest in Lord of the Rings, and it does quite a bit, it ends with this, things are going to be made right. Whereas, the Game of Thrones books haven't technically finished, but...
Maybe he can redeem every character in the last book, Ryan.
Uh-huh.
I've never read the books, so I don't know. But
I read the first few books before I kind of fell off, because I realized that I was reading them for like one or two characters, because like when I started, I had like a couple of characters who I really loved. And then by the end, I was like, there are only one or two characters who I still like left.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very hard to keep going when you only have like two characters you like left. And yeah, he's got 2 books left. And the last time a book was released was 2011. He apparently has 2 that he says are coming.
Gotta get in there then.
Yeah, a lot of it is that there's not this hope that's present in these stories. One of the things that I really do love then about Lord of the Rings is the expression that there is hope. That no matter how dark things get, that there is still going to be a glimmer of hope in there. There is still something good that can come about. That there is still redemption of this world. And I think that that's the thing that underlines everything in what Tolkien wrote, is no matter how awful things get, no matter how broken things get, there is still a redemption of this world. That the world can still be made right.
Alrighty, Ryan.
Yep.
I bought a drink yesterday.
Yep, and I got some Kit Kats.
I think actually...
Oh yeah, no, these are the ones that your wife did. All right, so we have a drink, and we have some Kit Kats. Drink first?
Drink first.
All right, so tell me about this drink you found.
This is a Fanta. It says Yogurt Rush. At least I think that's how you translate that. Yoguru Rashu.
Yoguru Rashu.
Yoguru Rashu. So I think Yogurt Rush.
Yeah, I think that's probably as close as we're going to get. I do appreciate the little symbol on the side that says, yeah, you're going to want to shake this up.
Yeah, you're going to want to shake. Which is interesting because when I looked at this on the shelf, right, I was telling you when I bought it, when I looked at this on the shelf, it was white on top and pink on the bottom. I didn't notice that at first. I just saw the white on top and I was like, oh, it looks like a Calpis, but it's not a Calpis. It's a Fanta.
Uh-huh.
And then I picked it up and shook it a little bit. I was like, oh, now it's all pink. Oh, okay. It's not really a milky thing. That's the yogurt. The peach stuff is settling.
Yeah, but if it's a Yogurt Rush Fanta, to me that says... Oh no, is Fanta trying to make a Calpis?
Fanta trying to make a Calpis? Maybe, Ryan, maybe. And also, this is one of the drinks that has peach jelly inside. Well, there's a bunch of Japanese drinks that have jelly inside. Little bits of like Jell-O.
Yeah, it's like a gelatin, and oftentimes they'll try to have like bits of the actual fruit in the gelatin.
Yep. I mean, they say jelly, but what they mean is gelatin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a few of the gelatin drinks. They're interesting. I'm not sure I appreciate the jelly as much as maybe others do.
I think it depends on the drink. There was one that I had a while back that I liked.
You and I both like peach generally. So I'm wondering if the peach will uplift this drink.
Well, given that they decided to include yogurt in it,
mm-hmm.
I'm really hoping the peach wins between that fight.
All right, let's give this a go.
All right, here we go.
Ooh, it smells like
peach?
Yes, but and the yogurt. I do smell the yogurt too, but it smells a little bit more like peach flavor than peach.
Yeah.
We'll have to see.
All right, I need to shake mine up some more.
The jelly came right to the top.
Yep.
I don't know if the jelly will go away though. I feel like as soon as we opened it, the jelly came right to the top.
Yeah, I'm going to try it again. Whoa.
Yeah, you can't shake it too much because of the fizz.
Ooh, that was dangerous.
Yeah, you got to be careful. Okay, it's weird.
Oh, yeah, it's real weird.
It's very weird.
All right, it's like I'm chewing through something to actually get to the drink.
Yeah, the jelly in this drink does not work.
I think the problem is most of the time the jelly isn't in carbonated drinks.
Oh, yeah, I think that is true. Most of the time it's in juices, right?
It's mostly in juices. And so given that they decided to put it in the carbonated drink, the carbonation is pushing it to the top. And so you're basically drinking through a mesh of jelly.
Before you get to the drink.
Yeah.
But I would say also the drink does not taste good. I think it is the yogurt that's killing it.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Just no. I'm going to cap this one because...
I was thinking that it might be good that this one is only 380 milliliters, actually. Usually I complain, but I was thinking this one, maybe it's okay.
Yeah, Fanta Fanta, you do all right stuff once in a while.
Yeah. I would say that most of our Fanta drinks we like.
Uh-huh. The problem is, this isn't one of them.
Yeah. The peach flavor, not bad. The yogurt flavor ruins it.
Mm-hmm. And again, I feel like it's like you're trying to drink something through an edible mesh.
Mm-hmm.
And if that sounds awful to the listeners, just imagine trying to drink that. Know that I have experienced this for you.
All right, I'm going with 3.
Yeah.
Maybe 2.
I'm going with 2, I think.
I think I'm going to go with 2 also, actually. I'm going to go down to 2.
I could even go as low as 1 on that one. But yeah, no, it's not a good flavor. And I think I'm a little sick to my stomach already just from like the little bit I drunk. It's making my stomach do some weird flips.
Let's move on to something that's going to be better.
Yeah, we have, in addition to that, provided by your wife, we have some Baskin Robbins Kit Kats.
Yep, my wife is encouraging this, right? That's what I'm reading from this.
Yeah.
That's what I told her. I was like, wait a minute, you're encouraging this? She's like, oh, not really, no.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at that conversation.
So this is another Baskin Robbins tie-in flavor.
Oh, what are we tying in?
Love Potion 31, which is actually one of my more favorite Baskin Robbins flavors. I do like Love Potion 31.
Because there's 31 flavors in it?
I would assume they're naming it because they're making a joke that they have 31 flavors in Baskin Robbins.
I think they have more than 31 at this point.
They have 32. I actually counted one time because they have an even number of spots inside their fridges, so they always have 32 flavors, but
they always have 32 different flavors in their store, but I think there's more than 31 total Baskin Robbins flavors.
Oh, well, they're only serving 32 at a time. But, and I don't know why they say 31 when they actually serve 32, but that's okay.
Anyway, so Love Potion 31.
Let's see. It is a white bar. Oh, with black at the bottom.
Yeah. And little, I want to say, like raspberry or strawberry specks.
Yeah. I think it's a good one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a solid one.
I mean, because I like the ice cream, I'm prone to like this too. Well, I mean, unless they messed it up. But they did not mess it up.
But how would you mess that up?
Yeah. I mean, they got the raspberry in the wafer and the chocolate flavor in the chocolate around it and the creamy part in the white part of the white part, topping of the bar. Yeah, they kind of won. Yeah, I'm going to say 9.
Agreed.
Yeah, this is a winner.
Yep. Speaking of Kit Kats, by the way, I was speaking to my parents about what to bring home for presents for everybody because I'm going to go and visit my family pretty soon here. What they said was, your nephew really, really loves Kit Kats and interesting flavors of Kit Kats. So could you bring him back some weird flavors from Japan?
3 bags of matcha.
Well, I was told specifically not to bring like those bitter flavors.
Not the adult flavors.
All right. So, Nate, this week we have another recommendation from a subscriber. This one from listener Paul. Listener Paul suggested that we watch Picard Season 3 as he felt like that was a beautiful conclusion to The Next Generation and to the Picard series as a whole. And so we have done that.
Yep. I mean, I watched it when it came out, but this was a great excuse to watch everything yet again.
Yep. And I also watched it earlier, not quite when it just came out, but pretty quickly after that.
And even I had taken this as an excuse to start from the beginning of Picard because I kind of wanted to watch the whole thing again.
Before we go any further, let's just kind of do the bit of an elevator pitch for the final season of Picard. So how the final season of Picard was introduced was that Jean-Luc Picard, after the events of seasons 1 and 2, receives an urgent distress call from Dr. Crusher, asking for help and told to trust no one, not even Starfleet. And he goes forward to see if he can help her in any way he can. And in doing so, not only discovers Dr. Crusher, but also her son.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Yep. Good stuff. I think one of the things that this season does well is bring in more characters that make things good. The obvious one is Shaw.
Oh, yeah.
I love how everybody's bouncing off him at the beginning. That's great. But even the other bridge crew, like, well, LaForge at helm, obviously, but then the girl with the weird green thing, and then the Bajoran weapons guy, and Delton, is that? I think she might be Delton. Anyway, they're all pretty cool. Like, they'll do neat things. They're all pulled in.
They all have little arcs.
Yeah, they all have names. I'm forgetting all of them now, of course, but I feel like the first season of Discovery was so focused on Burnham and the annoying captain. I forget his name too now, which is probably okay. Lorca. They were so focused on them that you didn't learn the bridge crew. And that, the second and third seasons of Discovery is like, finally, the bridge crew got names and like we could learn who they are. And they're actually pretty cool and they have histories. Like, how come we didn't do this in the first season? And I feel like Picard did that here with this bridge crew. And I was happy about that. And even, like if anybody that got maybe a short shrift was Geordi's second daughter that we meet later.
Oh, yeah.
Mostly because she's just in her father's shadow. Yeah, and it's just a little bit weird, right? So, yeah, she might got the shortest of the shrifts. But everyone else, I thought, did pretty well. They all had stories. They're all interesting to follow. So anyway, I like that. I like that not only do we have the main cast of TNG coming back and the existing cast of Picard coming back. I mean, I guess it's only Seven and Rafi. The others have dropped off, I guess, at this point. Then we get some new players that are actually interesting and do well in the story. I liked that. That's definitely one of the things I liked.
I really liked that, but also I really liked what they did with the original cast a whole lot better than what they did in the first two seasons.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to put it this way, but the first two seasons felt largely like the Picard and Data show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Even though Data wasn't always in it, it felt...
Especially the first season.
Yeah. But it felt so centered around the characters of both... Well, felt like it centered around Patrick Stewart and Brent Spiner in whatever forms they took. I say that because Brent Spiner played so many different characters in this series. But I felt like in seasons 1 and 2, they were so focused on those two characters that they didn't give enough attention to some of the other characters who had been with them for so long. Not to say anything against seasons 1 and 2, but I felt like I would have enjoyed them even more if it had broadened its scope a little bit. Because, like I said, one of the things I really loved was, I know I'm the target audience for this, but I loved the callbacks that they did to the original series. Those kind of things were resonating because they echoed of the relationships that we had grown up with.
Let's start back at season 1. Is that okay?
Absolutely. Tell me all about season 1.
I liked season 1. I thought that watching it from the beginning, it was definitely more a let's focus on Android. I mean, I think they did some weird things with androids to make that season work. The whole, revolution. Oh my goodness, we can't have artificial intelligence anymore. Blah, blah, blah. That was interesting, but I think that season kind of worked. I think Q messing with season 2, I felt like it suffered a little bit, kind of like what Back to the Future suffers. Like, the future history is horrible. I hate that. Same thing that happened here. The future history was bad. I'm sorry, the future changes were horrible. Which I thought Back to the Future had the same thing where his stepfather is Biff now and blah, blah, blah. It's horrible. And the same thing with this one where, like, oh my goodness, now they're conquerors instead of explorers. I like that was short, that we didn't really have to live through that a lot. That's one of my problems with Back to the Future. Even though that part is short with Back to the Future 2, that's what I remember, and I hate that part of that movie. When they go back to 2022 or whatever it is, it just doesn't get much better. Like, Back to the Future actually does better when it gets to the past again. When they relive the better parts of the first movie, it's actually better. And I think that this suffered because, if anything, the 2022 parts have great character development, but the plot's bad. In some ways, I liked the talking about anxiety. I think that was probably good. I just think that it wasn't enough of what's going on. I don't know.
I agree that the character development was good, but I think this is going to fly in the face of what I just said. I think for this one, they were trying to run too many different subplots that they ended up losing a main central thing that they were doing.
Right. I mean, in many ways, the whole Data thing and his daughter thing, it was just a little bit too extraneous.
But I felt that way about a lot of the plot lines. There were like 5 different storylines going on at the same time, but nothing that really grounded all of them together. And again, I thought the character development was good. You got to know these characters. You got to see their inward struggles, their wrestling, and you got to see who they are. But it didn't have a central plot to carry me along. But that all changed in season 3.
Yeah, season 3 was interesting. What they did to the Borg in season 2, I felt great. You know, with Picard, his relationship with Data, that was good to have in season 1. His relationship with Q, if you're going to have a series about Picard, you got to cover Borg. I think, again, it was kind of weird in season 2. They kind of made new Borg, I guess. And now in season 3, we come back to, I think, the original Borg, who are falling apart. So I guess the original Borg were still out there. What's her name? Alice? Went off and made her own Borg that are kind of moral, weirdly. Anyway, interesting. But they don't mix with the original Borg, I guess. Anyway.
Well, I mean, that's not even touched on in Series 3.
Right. I almost wish that was at least mentioned. Like, oh, other Borg were made and they're off doing their own thing.
Yeah, because that's the jarring thing I always felt about Season 3 was you're not even going to touch upon how Season 2 ended with the Borg.
Right. Because we already had Borg. Not to say that they couldn't touch it again.
But you need to show at least why these two rivers have diverged.
Right.
Where was the Vulcan-Romulan split?
Right.
No?
I don't know if I liked the Borg using the changelings. I thought that was reaching in yet again to something. We're going to talk about the nostalgia in a bit, and I think the nostalgia worked in many places. I don't think it worked here.
Yeah. I think for me, the reason why that never quite landed was Vadic was a great villain in her own right, but she seemed to have such a empty motivation besides, like, I will destroy everything. Like, she had no logical reason, and I know logic probably isn't her thing, but she had no reason to be working with the Borg to accomplish her goals. Why would she team up with this seemingly broken Borg cube? How is that Borg helping her?
Right.
She has no motivation to actually join with the Borg. She is getting nothing out of that relationship.
They come up with a reason because, she hates humans too. But it doesn't hold water.
But again, you ally with somebody who can give you something. They couldn't give her anything.
Yep.
That's what bothered me, is like, she could have been desiring to destroy the world in her own right. But then she became essentially a flunky for the Borg. But why? Why would she?
Yep.
That's the thing that bothered me the most.
Yep, I agree.
Because, I mean, Vadic had reasons to hate humanity.
Yeah, valid ones.
She had a lot of reasons to be essentially a big bad. And yeah, you could have just centered it around callbacks to the Dominion War. Sure. I don't think that should be a centralized around Picard's story.
Yeah, Picard show, right.
We have a different captain for that.
Yep. Too bad they're not doing a Cisco follow-up, but okay.
Yeah, where's the Cisco show?
Yep.
Although, how many games of baseball would be included in that?
Oh, that would be kind of fun. I wouldn't mind that.
Space baseball? Yeah. Hey, don't get me wrong. I love DS9. But yeah, so Vadic was an awesome character until she became the flunky for the Borg. Because, like I said, the changelings, great. Until they were no longer the masters of their own choices.
Right. I agree.
Again, great characters, awesome story, but I do think that there are a couple of places where I was like, oh, what is the reason for that?
All All right, so let's get to the good stuff now.
All right.
Now that we've picked our nits.
Yes.
One of the things I want to say is that the nostalgia really worked well, especially on the first viewing. I don't think it worked as well on the second viewing because, again, I knew everything that was coming, which is a little too bad. But
see, it had been long enough between the two that it still felt fresh to me.
Mm-hmm.
For example, the banter between Riker and Worf.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to me, that just hit home.
Oh, yeah, that was great. Sorry. That was all wonderful. I guess maybe it's the surprise of the nostalgia that didn't fare as well the second time, right? Now, I knew to expect, I mean, again, spoilers, the Enterprise bridge coming. Like, I mean, I remember watching it when it was coming out and thinking, oh, they're going to use Voyager, right? Because they mentioned it. Or are they going to use the HMS Bounty? Oh, that would be great because it's not a Starfleet ship.
Yeah.
They could use that ship. But then, yeah, when they settled on the Enterprise bridge, I was like, oh, great. Yeah. Like, too bad we didn't get to see engineering or Captain's Ready Room. But at least they got the Enterprise bridge.
Yeah, you do miss out on some of those surprises. Like, for example, when Rafi is talking to her handler, and the entire time I'm thinking, it's Worf.
Yes, that was good. I don't think I guessed that properly.
Well, no. I mean, like, I didn't guess that. But this time in watching it, and because I already knew it, the entire time I'm thinking of Worf responding in his voice, all of the things he's saying.
Because, yeah, second time through. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. That surprise was ruined, yeah, unfortunately, because we already know now.
Yeah.
We already know it's Worf. We know they're getting to the bridge.
That being said, I will say that the writing of that section, I could tell those sort of things would be said by Worf.
Yes, now that we can see, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, for example, when it's like, you are a warrior. And I'm like, who would say you are a warrior to her? That's how I originally felt like it. I was like, what kind of metaphor is this? And then knowing that it's Worf, you're like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yep. Along with the banter that you were saying between the TNG cast again, I really did like the key nostalgia points of Rolaren and Shelby, the ironicness of Shelby getting destroyed by the Borg, unfortunate.
Yeah.
I really did like those callbacks. I think they were well earned. Even Tim Russ for 7 of 9.
Oh, yeah.
Being Tuvok. I'm glad they brought those back. They were pretty key. They played very well. I think it was important to have them. I'm glad they didn't just cheap out and get some other, bit player to play some admiral sitting behind a desk or some other, Starfleet bigwig that they just need to shoo off. No, they got Rolaren.
Mm-hmm.
And they made it a great plot point, a healing point for Picard too. So they didn't get to talk to Shelby, but I think that having her there leading this new collective of Star Trek ships was nice and ironic, but great, right?
Mm-hmm.
It very much added to the season.
Oh, yeah. No, I thought those were great. I really loved all of those sort of things where they included things like even the subtle mentions of like, Admiral Janeway.
Yeah, Admiral Janeway. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I loved it. I think one of the scenes that always stuck out to me, though, and really I resonated with again, even in my second watching, is the war between Lore and Data.
Yeah, that was great. I did think that was an interesting scene. I wouldn't have thought that would have worked, but it really did. How is Data going to beat Lore? And is Data going to beat Lore, or is he just going to give up? Because you see, they're trying to make you think that he's giving up when actually he's winning, which is great.
Yeah, because by giving the memories to Lore, he is
infecting.
He is winning in the most Data way possible.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So that entire scene just worked for me.
Yep.
And it gets to that point of, do our memories not deeply impact us? Mm-hmm. And by giving you and sharing with you my memories, these things that I lived through, that I felt, felt.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But is that not making us understand each other more and making you a little bit more like me?
Mm-hmm.
I think that entire scene is just wonderful.
Yep.
Of the entire series, I feel like that scene had the best payoff for me. I mean, there are lots of other really great things throughout the series, but that's perhaps this one scene that I go, if I'm going to ever want to show somebody why this series is great, I would want to show them that. But the problem is I would need to give so much context for that scene.
I found my second time through, I was sitting there thinking, oh my goodness, Picard's son is just getting in the way of everything. More story with the original cast or things like that. But I'm going to disagree with that statement again. I think it drew things out of Picard that was good to see. It drew more character out of him. Yes, what's his name? Jack is playing an annoying character early on. But again, that's how you grow. There wouldn't be a character arc if he was good at the beginning.
I don't know if I would necessarily qualify him as annoying at the beginning, maybe prickly.
Prickly. Yeah, that's actually a better way to say it. I think that's a better characterization, yeah.
And I think that prickliness largely stems from...
Well, they explain it very well, right? That basically he felt... I mean, yes, he was hidden by Picard, but then when he gave Picard a straight-up question, Picard basically shooed him away. Not without knowing that's what he was doing. That's what he was doing. He was basically saying, no, I'm not going to care about you.
Except really what he was thinking was, this is the family that I have. This is the family I found. And yeah... I felt like that line from Picard almost felt like him kind of trying to do a slam dunk in front of all these little kids, in front of all these ensigns and cadets. But
still, it might have encouraged them, but it definitely pushed away Jack.
Exactly.
So I think they explained it well. And I think that, yes, it did draw out a lot of good from Picard and Crusher. So... in my first few episodes with Jack again in the rewatch, I was like, oh, he's too prickly, he's not great. But then brought me back to, okay, yeah, actually, that's right. Jack is not bad. And by the end of the series, he's accepted his lot in life as Picard's son.
And I think that scene where he says, this is the only family that I've ever needed, is really beautifully counterpointed? Yeah. Given a counterpoint in the last scene on the Borg cube, where Picard turns to him and says, fine, if you won't leave, I'll stay here with you till the end.
Yeah. Yep, that was good. I do think, going back to the Borg stuff a little bit too, like the whole, okay, Picard is a receiver and Jack is a transmitter. Okay, I think I can buy it. We're stretching things a little bit, but not stretching too far that I will break my suspension of disbelief. I was like, okay, I'll accept this. Because we have had parts in the original series where we can hear Picard listening in on the Borg and like, why is that?
Yeah.
And sure, maybe, I guess, genes can be passed that Jack becomes a transmitter. I don't know, that's a little bit weird, but fine. I'll accept it for now.
Yeah. I mean, again, that's a decent stretch of disbelief there. Especially because in my mind, if we're talking about genes, if anything, he would also be somebody who would be receiving the signals.
That's what I was thinking too. Like, why is he flipped? What makes it that he's flipped? I don't understand that, but fine. I will accept it for now.
But again, I think that having it come back to the Borg and wrap up with the Borg is the only way a Picard series can end.
Right, exactly.
Because the Borg are so central to Picard's story.
They are. They've definitely altered his life, and it's a part of him. So it needs to be continually dealt with in his life. He can't walk away from it.
And it's all Q's fault.
Yeah, it's all Q's fault. It is. I just got to know, if Picard sticks a little thingy in his neck, but he's an android now, not a human, how does that work? Never mind.
No, don't go down that route.
We're suspending disbelief. Okay.
No, I think the fact that the Borg have had such an impact in his life, I mean, even in the other places where he shows up in not TNG, the Borg have had such a huge influence. I mean, like, for example, while I was rewatching this, I was thinking about how many times he has shown up somewhere else and people are like, oh, let me tell you where I was during the Battle of Wolf 359.
Yeah.
Cisco, right at the beginning of DS9, is like, I remember where I was when my wife died at Wolf 359.
Yeah.
That first interaction is...
It's great.
Yeah.
And Picard going, oh, okay.
Yeah. But that whole conversation and then having that kind of thing come back, where Shaw does the very similar thing where he's like, I was in the middle of the Battle of Wolf 359 and I only lived because out of the 30 of us down there, my lieutenant pointed to me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that's like begging for survivor's guilt right there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I was really hoping when they were doing the build up to the final charge into the Borg cube, I was really hoping he would say, "The line is here."
That would have been funny.
Yeah.
Yep. No further. Yep, that would have been good.
Yeah, but I don't think they wanted to make that obvious of a call.
Right. Yep. Great series. Thank you, Paul. I was glad to have watched the whole thing again. It was a lot of fun. It is calling back together my favorite cast of Star Trek and having them do things together. Would most of the time win anyway, even if it's bad writing, but this worked. So that's even better.
Especially season 3. It's what I would qualify as good writing.
Yes, we have nitpicks, but it was probably the best season of Picard, and it's just a great show.
These are the sort of nitpicks that you can only do as a fan.
Yeah, as an ultimate fan. Right.
Where as somebody who loves a series as a thing, when you get angry because the thing you love isn't quite what you dream it could be, it's good, but you're like, but I love you so much and I know how much better you can be.
Exactly.
Those are the sort of nitpicks that we're giving as a person who loves it so much. Mm-hmm. So, like we said, though, it's a good series. And if you haven't watched it and we've spoiled it all for you, honestly, go watch it. Season 3 is the best. There are other points where, it goes through arcs, but all in all, it ends on a good note. It is a satisfying finale. All right. Nate, what are we doing next time?
Oh, actually, I have to pull it up. What are we doing next time?
I think it's yours.
Ryan, next time I have you reading Mickey 7 and Antimatter Blues. 2 books.
You have me reading 2 books?
2 books at once.
All right.
Yep, so Mickey 7, Antimatter Blues, they are 2 books in the series. Actually, I don't know if there's more books coming out. But anyway, they're at least the first 2 books. But they were very good. And we're back on my kick of books about clones. So this is back into the theme of, yes, Nate's forcing Ryan to read books of clones and talk about how clones work and things like that.
And the morality of cloning.
Yes, exactly. So this is in that thing. One more after this, unless I find another clone book. This is the midpoint in my book of clones, my series of clones. Of course, I'm having you read 2 books, but
I'm looking forward to it. I look forward to all of the books about cloning and cloning myself to read them. We hope you found something nice about this hill that we're willing to die on, and we appreciate all of our listeners coming along on this journey with us. And if you've ever thought to yourself, hey, I really like these guys and what they do, and I wish there was some way I could support them, you can. Visit myhilltodieon/members for more details. But what does it mean to be a member? Well, for the low price of $2 a month or $15 a year, you can help support this podcast. And by doing so, you get access to the members-only podcast, Not My Hill, where we discuss things that are probably somebody else's hill to die on. We have strong feelings about them, but as the title says, they're definitely not hills we'd be willing to die on. And in addition to that, you'll get access to the suggestion form, where you can make suggestions for our listener hell episodes, like this one, where you could be the one to suggest whether we read a book or watch a TV series, and generally climb up a hill that you're willing to die on, and we'll talk all about it. But know that the conversation doesn't have to end here. The discussion can continue with us through Reddit at the subreddit My Hill to Die On, or by contacting us through email, which is, to no one's surprise, myhilltodieon@gmail.com. And finally, we upload all of our episodes to our YouTube channel, which is also named, say it with me now, folks, My Hill to Die On.
unless you did want to clear the elephant, I guess that would be the only thing.
Well, the problem is with clearing the elephant is this. If we do the correct thing and keep somewhat on pace for the next couple of episodes, by the time this gets posted, the elephant no longer exists.
Exactly, yeah.
We have murdered the elephant at that point.
We've cleaned. Uh-huh.
And we have gone ahead and like sold its meat for parts, made a piano out of its tusks. This metaphor has gotten away from me.
I think maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe we should stop all over the whole thing and not just the head.
Yeah.
I think I could talk about cross country for a little bit, but maybe we do keep it just brief. Because it does kind of hint at the elephant a little bit too. So it hints on it without stabbing it. Sorry.
Hey, just don't go to the elephant graveyard. That's where the hyenas are.
Mufasa. Ooh.
I will have to laugh and be a little sarcastic about one thing. While all that was good, you said, oh, I'll just talk quick about cross country.
Is it like 10, 15 minutes?
It's been 20 minutes.
20 minutes? Oh my God. I might have to edit that down. I'm sorry. All right, let's move on then. Goodness.
But it made me laugh because I was like, yes, I know Nate's quick. No, I was at one point thinking about making a joke of listing off all the books that didn't have good finales and went on longer than they should have. And then all of a sudden I was like, I have too many to list.
Yeah.
Again, Ender, Dune.
I was going to say Lost, the TV show.
Oh, that had such potential. It had such potential. Wow.
Enterprise, the TV show. Oh, let's make, I know how to end the series. Let's make an episode of another TV show be the end of our series. Like, what? What? Who does this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a point where I was like, how meta should I be for this? Because I could say, oh yeah, there's a really great book that I think ended very well, or a very good book series that I think ended really well. And it just happens to have begun with the 5th season. Which, yeah, that's a great series. And I do feel like it ended well.
I do think so too. Yeah, that is a good one. And that is one that's a good one we've covered.
So when we were talking about endings and we were talking about finales, the problem I was having was I kept thinking about all these great stories that had a good wrap up. And then for some crazy reason, the author or the TV producer decided to make another. I am looking at you, the Dune series. I am looking at you, Ender's Game, because really it just ended after Speaker for the Dead. I don't know what you're talking about.
It did end there.
But to give you a thing that I felt ended well, I am going to have to go with. Sorry, now I'm doubting all my choices. Why don't you do your second one while I think about this, because I'm regretting every choice.
Okay. He keeps asking me if I want to collaborate on my notes. No, I don't want to collaborate with Ryan. These are my notes.
Yes, most people don't want to collaborate with me.
I am collaborating with you with voice. I don't want to collaborate.
Oh, good. So I'm practically perfect.